My friend, today was a complete roller coaster at the Philadelphia Eagles' headquarters. In less than an hour, Howie Roseman dealt a safety, brought back a familiar face, and closed a deal with an all-pro special teams specialist. This is free agency in turbo mode, and I'm going to break down every single piece of this puzzle for you because the full story is way more interesting than it might seem at first glance. If you follow the Eagles closely, hit that like button right now and subscribe to the channel because Philly's offseason is just getting started, and you're going to want to be here when the next bombs drop. Turn on the notification bell too, because at this time of year the news can hit at any hour. Let's get into it. Let's take it piece by piece. First, the departure. Sidney Brown was traded to the Atlanta Falcons. Second, the arrivals. Marcus Epps came back home on a one-year contract, and JT Gray arrived as a new addition, also on a one-year deal. All of this happened the same afternoon, first reported by ESPN's Adam Schefter. 3 safety moves in a matter of minutes, my friend. Howie Roseman does not play around, and he never has. The question every Philly fan is asking right now is, why trade Sidney Brown? Howie's answer is simple and straightforward. Improve the draft position on day 3. The trade with Atlanta brought back earlier picks in the 4th and 6th round of the next draft. That is pure Roseman language. He is always thinking about accumulating capital, about having more bullets in the chamber when it's time to build the roster. And when you look at his draft history, especially when it comes to finding undervalued players in the middle rounds, you understand exactly why he thinks that way. Day 3 picks might seem like small currency to some, but in the right hands, those players turn into starters, into surprise stories of the season, into pieces of a championship puzzle. But Howie also knows you can't just trade away a safety without having a replacement plan already on the table, and that's exactly where Marcus Epps came in fast. Marcus Epps back in Philadelphia. Man, this story has layers. He played for the Eagles from 2020 to 2022, a stretch during which the team reached the Super Bowl as NFC champions. In 3 years with the franchise during that run, Epps put together 203 combined tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 15 pass deflections, and 3 interceptions. He was part of a solid defense that carried this team all the way to the biggest game of the year. There is a real connection between this player and the franchise, a familiarity with the system, with the coaches, with the locker room culture. And that kind of familiarity is priceless when you're building a group to compete for a title. Last season, Epps returned to the Eagles in a way that not many people expected. After being released by the New England Patriots at the end of the 2025 preseason, he was signed to Philly's practice squad. And we all know that landing on the practice squad doesn't have to be the end of the road, right? Epps worked hard, got the coach's attention, and was promoted to the active roster. He appeared in 12 games during the season, starting 4 of them. He posted 21 combined tackles, including 1 for loss, and played no fewer than 250 defensive snaps and 119 special teams snaps. Modest numbers on paper, but with a context that matters. He knows the system, he knows the locker room, and the coaches trust him. When Nick Sirianni puts a player on the field, he wants to be sure that guy knows exactly what he's doing. Epps is precisely that kind of veteran. Now the question you're probably asking yourself, does Epps have what it takes to be a starting safety for the Eagles in 2026? Or is he more of a reliable depth piece? That's the central question. And the honest answer is, it depends a lot on what happens with Andrew Mukuba. Mukuba is on the Eagles roster, but he is recovering from a fractured ankle. The fact that Howie traded Brown right after bringing in Epps and Gray could be a signal that the franchise is confident in Mukuba's return for training camp. If the young safety is healthy and ready to play, he will likely compete for a spot in the starting lineup. Epps would function as a trusted veteran backup, a guy you know exactly what you're getting when you need him. And that has enormous value in modern football. Quality depth is what separates good teams from great teams. But let's talk about the name you might not know as well just yet. JT Gray. This is a name that is going to come up a lot in conversations about special teams in Philadelphia going forward, and for good reason. Gray is 30 years old and has 8 seasons in the NFL under his belt. His home for 7 of those years was the New Orleans Saints, where he became one of the best special teams players in the entire league. That's not an exaggeration, that's not hype, that's the record. In 2021, he was named to the first-team All-Pro as a special teams player with the Saints. In 2024, still with New Orleans, he received the second-team All-Pro honor in the same category. 2 All-Pro recognitions in special teams in an era where the league is increasingly recognizing the value of coverage specialists on kicks and punts. When the NFL acknowledges a player twice in that specific role, you can be sure we're talking about a true professional at the highest level. When you look at Gray's career numbers, the story he tells is consistent and clear. More than 2,200 special teams snaps over 8 NFL seasons. 2,200 snaps, my friend. That is an entire career dedicated to being the very best at what he does. And on the defensive side, only 153 total snaps. Gray is not a safety who is going to give you a lot in coverage or at the line of scrimmage, but as a special team specialist, he is elite, and the Eagles know exactly what they're getting. Last season, Gray spent time with the Denver Broncos and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, playing 5 combined games between the two teams and recording 3 combined tackles. It wasn't a standout individual season, but the consistency of an entire high-level career speaks far louder than one transitional year. The Eagles are essentially signing a player who knows exactly what his job is and executes it with professional excellence, game after game, season after season. And here's the point that needs to be said loud and clear. The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions, but the work of building a roster never stops, not even after winning the title. Howie Roseman is always trying to find the next level, and that includes having the best possible special teams unit. A strong special teams phase can decide games that come down to the thinnest of margins. Gray arrives to elevate that department and give the team a reliable weapon in the kicking game. But who else is on the Eagles' safety depth chart beyond Epps, Gray, and Mukuba? It's worth mentioning that the franchise has Cooper DeJean, who can play safety if needed, although the ideal scenario is keeping him at nickel corner, where he is exceptional. And there's also Michael Carter II, listed as a cornerback but with the versatility to cover the safety spot in specific situations. In other words, Howie built a list of flexible options rather than depending on a single piece. That is his philosophy. Never be held hostage by one player at any position. Always have depth, always have contingencies, always have a plan B, a plan C, and sometimes a plan D. Getting back to the Brown trade, the strategic angle here is fascinating. The Eagles move on from a 26-year-old safety who was still developing. They recover day 3 draft picks, and at the same time they secure coverage with a trusted veteran in Epps and an all-pro specialist in Gray. All of this on 1-year contracts. That preserves cap flexibility, keeps the team competitive right now, and still allows Mukuba to take on a bigger role when he's fully healthy. It's an equation that makes both financial and strategic sense at the same time. Was it the right call to move on from Brown? Some fans are going to question it. And it makes sense to question it, because Brown was still young and had shown real potential. But Howie clearly believes the value of those additional day 3 picks, combined with his confidence in Mukuba's return, outweighs what Brown would have contributed this season. It's a calculated bet, and Roseman has a consistent track record of making those bets pay off. When he trusts the process, the results tend to show up. The message to the Philly fan base is this: this team is moving with purpose. Every decision has a logic. Every move fits into a bigger puzzle. And even the departures that seem surprising at first glance make sense when you consider the full picture Howie is putting together for 2026. Now I want to hear from you, my friend. Do you think Howie made the right call trading Sidney Brown and betting on Epps and Gray to hold down the safety position for now? Or do you think the Eagles gave up a young piece who still had a lot to offer this team? Drop your comment down below. Let's talk this through together. This conversation has a lot of ground to cover. And if you enjoyed the breakdown, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell because there is a lot more good stuff coming this Eagles offseason. Fly, Eagles, fly.